Hey guys, JC the Sniper here, and today you're probably wondering why I have a pile of junk on the counter in front of me. And it's because I'm going to talk a little bit today about a principle of self-defense, and some of this has to do with mindset, and some of this has to do with being prepared, and some of it just has to do with ingenuity. But we're going to talk a little bit about self-defense and what to do if you don't have an actual weapon, and some things that you can do to prepare yourself if you're going to be in a place where you can't take a weapon. So I'm going to move this pile of junk aside here, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. First of all, what do we want if we get in a self-defense situation optimally? Well, optimally we're going to have a firearm like this Glock 19. Which is loaded, by the way. I'm not going to safety check it because it's loaded and I know that. So it is not safe. But you'll notice I keep my finger out of the trigger guard when the weapon's loaded, so it's all good. Anyway, optimally we'd have something like this, a firearm, because this is basically the ultimate self-defense tool. Not necessarily a handgun, but a firearm is the best self-defense tool you can have in most situations. However, we can't necessarily have a firearm everywhere. I wish we could, but a lot of places bar you from bringing weapons. They have metal detectors, or you'll simply face academic sanctions if you carry a firearm, like my college campus, where if they catch you with a firearm, they can't legally charge you with anything. So you won't face criminal charges, but they can kick you out of school and take your scholarship away in my case. So they tell you you can't have a firearm. So if we can't have a firearm, we'd probably like to have something like a knife. In this case, a Bird Cara, which I've previously reviewed and I think is a good knife. Would serve you well in an emergency tactical situation. Has good grip, has a nice sized blade, about 4 inches, with good cutting capability, nice hard steel, and it's a strong light knife. So this would be a good knife if you were to get in a situation where you needed one. Deploys quickly, all that good stuff. So maybe a knife. However, there are places, once again, where you can't have a knife. Airports, airplanes, schools, just there are different places that won't let you have a knife. And if they won't let you have a knife, more than likely they won't let you have your police baton. This is a collapsible police baton. These things are pretty cool. This is I believe a 20-inch baton. So, that's a fairly decent sized piece of steel to hit someone with. And in a lot of situations, this would be better than a knife. So, this is a good defensive tool. But once again, places with metal detectors generally are not going to let you take a police baton. So, you can't have that. So, you can't have your knife, you can't have your firearm, you can't have your police baton. What are you going to do at that point? Well, in a lot of situations, you're going to, where you face an attack, you're just going to have what's on hand at the time. Say you're in school, if you're walking down the hall at school, you might easily have a ballpoint pen on you. And you could convert a ballpoint pen into a weapon if you needed to. You could hold it in this manner, and you can make some pretty brutal stabbing attacks with this thing. If you hit somebody in the face, in the stomach, in the eyes, any sensitive fleshy area with something like this, if you hit someone forcefully, it's going to do some pretty good damage. Now, it's not going to be the best thing in the world, but if I don't have anything else and this is all I have, I could use it. And if you think about something like this beforehand, this is part of the mindset you need to have for, going out and about life, just for self-defense. You need to have a mindset where you think about things like this, where, if something happened, if I were to be attacked, if those 3 guys over there decided it would be good fun to, steal my lunch money or something, what am I going to do about it? And if you have a ballpoint pen, obviously, first of all, I'd give them the money rather than attacking these people, because it's better to de-escalate a situation like that. But if it becomes physical and you can't do anything about it, then you could use something like this, perhaps to defend your life. And there's a dog in the background. So anyway, you could use a pin like this if you had to. It's not going to be the best thing, but if you had, or one like this. But you could convert a pin into a stabbing weapon, and you could do some damage. This is going to be better than your fist. The fist, the hand, is just a last resort tool. I can use my fists, but they're not going to be nearly as effective as a weapon. Even if it's a simple weapon like a pin, just to concentrate the force of my blow to a small place, so that instead of hitting over these two knuckles, which is how you're supposed to punch someone, instead of hitting over this much space, I'm hitting on that much space, and that is very small. That would do a lot more damage. So if you can firmly grip it and strike someone forcefully, you'll do some damage with that. So if you're in a place where you have tools around, or you can feasibly have a tool, I know some of the people in the UK aren't allowed to carry weapons just about anywhere. However, you could carry something like a screwdriver fairly innocently, or keep it in your car, you know, in case you needed to work on something, or say you were working on something. And something like a screwdriver is going to be better than a pin, because a screwdriver has a nice handle, you can grip well, you can get a good tight grip on it, and it comes to a much harder point, and it's metal. A lot of you probably know that the Mafia, back during the time of the Prohibition in the 20s and stuff, often used ice picks to kill people. And it's basically a sharpened screwdriver is what an ice pick is. So you're not going to have a viciously sharp point on this thing, but if you hit someone hard with that, it's going to go in. It's going to break skin. That's not just going to bounce off somebody, and you can get a real good grip on it. So you could convert something like a screwdriver if you needed it. Once again, if you're somewhere where you have tools, obviously you can convert any large tool into a weapon. This is the an AR-15 takedown tool. This is what I had on hand. And this is just a stand-in for any large tool, a wrench, you know, bolt cutters, anything like that. This can be made into an impact device. If somebody comes after you, you beat them with that thing. And this approximates to a police baton. It's not quite as elegant, it's not as concealable, it's not as easily wieldable, but it packs a punch. It's a nice heavy object to hit someone with, so it's a very similar principle. If you can't necessarily have something like tools, here's something that people can frequently carry with them: a chain. Say you're going to lock up your bike or something. You might need a chain to lock up your bike. And along with that chain, a lock. Now there's several things you could do with these. A lock can actually be used as a knuckle buster, like so. If you place the lock in your hand so that it fills your palm, and the proper way to use a knuckle duster, brass knuckle, is to place the weight of the blow against your palm, and your finger just holds it in place. You don't want to put it up here and hit someone because you'll break your finger. You want it to be here where it's reinforced by your palm, and when you strike with it, it forms a straight line through the object, down through your hand into your wrist, so that you have a full force of your arm coming into contact with that person. And this would concentrate the force of your blow even further and be a hardened surface to strike with. So this would be better than an open fist. If you're in school and you happen to have a lock and a couple guys are going to jump you and rough you up, and you happen to have one of these, you could pop them pretty good with that. And you know, that might be helpful. Another thing you can do with it, if you have your lock, is you can take this, and once I open it, you could take this and lock it onto your lock. Now I've got a flail, you know? Wrap your hand in this chain and hit somebody with that thing. Alright, we're getting close to 10 minutes, so I'm going to have to cut here and go to part 2.